Hello, welcome to Amamansin's Network. My name is Veronica, and I am a disability activist. I am also the founder of the Challenge Foundation. It's also a disability organization. If you join me, kindly write something so I'll be able to acknowledge your presence here. This is a special conversation, and it's something that we've been doing on this platform for some time now. Like I said, it's a special conversation. Most of us are, but before I start, give me a moment to share the video. Oh. Yeah, so like I said, this is a special conversation, and most of us are actually confused when we are interacting with persons with disabilities. Last week, for instance, we were having a discussion on the relationship forum, and our coordinator, Nancy, just asked Nancy, "Hi, Nancy, wherever you are, hugs to you, you do it so well." Before we began, she asked what was the appropriate way to refer to PWDs. That means persons with disabilities. And also in the course of the conversation, somebody also raised the concern about the importance of such conversations or discussions on the platform so that it will raise awareness about certain things and also enable people to unlearn certain attitudes towards persons with disabilities. And so these are parts of my triggers why I find it important to have this discussion on this platform. You know, also persons with disabilities are no more isolated. We cohabit, we work together with them, we do business with them every day. They are our students, they are our teachers, and all the other things that you can think of. What I mean to say is that persons with disabilities are, in fact, part of our everyday lives. And so it is important to know some of these things so we will not be ignorant and seem to be offending them unconsciously all the time. I am going to be using certain acronym PWDs. That means persons with disabilities. You see, the most important thing to know is that always remember when you interact with persons with disabilities, remember they are human beings. I always say this thing. I said it in previous discussions that they are human beings and blood runs through them just like you and I. Their disability is just one of the many characteristics that they have. And so they have the same needs just like you and I. And they must be treated with dignity and respect. And so we must use a language that reflects our respect for these people. And that is why I think that it is necessary that once a while we have some of these discussions here. Whilst the language we use is very important, it is equally important that you demonstrate your respect for persons with disabilities through your attitude. And so when you interact with them, I mean PWDs, focus on their abilities, not their disabilities. PWDs are unique individuals who have wealth of knowledge, skills, talents, and experiences to add to our society. And so to begin with, I want us to be very conscious about some of the things that we say to persons with disabilities, or how we refer to them. Number one, do not refer to the condition, I mean their disability, unless it is crucial to your subject and it will contribute to the full understanding of your listeners. And what I mean to say is that when the main subject of your conversation has nothing to do with a condition, with their disability, it will be better not to refer to it at all. This means that you may have to refer to the disability only when it is relevant to the story. For instance, let me give you a typical example. I don't remember the story very well. One of these politicians was arguing his points in the media some time ago, and then he made reference to, in the course of his argument, he said something like, I am not a deaf, and I can hear all your grievances. And so a lot of people, including persons who are non-disabled, they went at this man, this politician, they went to attack him for the fact that he said he's not a deaf person. You see, he could have easily said that, I listen to all your grievances, or I can understand all your grievances. But I don't know why he preferred to say that he's not a deaf. And these people were offended. And so they went at him, they went attacking him, including people who are not, who are non-disabled persons. And so you can see how important it is to be very careful with some of the words that you use. There was also another instance. One blogger, during this brouhaha of Kofi Adoma and his wife, you know, initially he was trying to hide the face of this woman, his wife. And one of these bloggers made a story about this, and he asked Kofi Adoma, why are you not confident about your wife? Why are you refusing to show the wife of your wife? Is your wife a disabled person? But you know, she said it in our local language. So she went like, or Apache and into Uferi show name. Is your wife a disabled person and you are shy to show her face or something like that? And a lot of persons with disabilities contacted me that we should confront this woman. In fact, we did confront the woman, and they apologized behind the scene. So these are some of the things that we must be careful of when we are speaking to persons with disabilities. Another thing is that you must also try to emphasize the individuals and not their disability. Most people are fond of describing persons with disabilities with their predicaments, even if they know their names. You know, some will go like, oh, any friend, you know, you know, it's something that I experience all the time. Most people, when they speak to me and they want to refer to somebody with a disability, they go like, any friend, you know, oh, sister na otogusuno. What that means is, oh, that blind man, oh, that woman who lends, you see, try as much as possible to refer to persons with disabilities with their names. Use their names, even if you don't know their names. Even if you don't know their names, there are a lot more characteristics that you could use, like their complexion, their height, their hair, their eyes, whatever. Let me ask you one question. Supposing you want to refer to somebody that you do not know their names and they do not have any disability, how will you do that? Of course, you have ways of describing such people, and people will be able to identify the person that you are trying to refer to. So the same way, even if you don't know the names of these people, a person with disability, and you are describing them, try to use other characteristics instead of their predicament, instead of their disability. A lot of people were referring to people who are visually impaired, and they go like, Papa and friend, no, you don't do that. Refer to them with their names or use other characteristics to describe them. And you see, these are some of the things that we do unconsciously. We do some of these things unconsciously. Sometimes we are unaware, and we tend to offend them unknowingly, Yeah. If you join me, please share the video and then try to interact with me. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. If you have any other contribution or any opinion, you can also drop it so we discuss them. Another thing that you must also try to do when you are interacting with persons with disabilities is do not use subjective descriptions such as unfortunate, pitiful, sad, and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say, it is better to empathize with persons with disabilities rather than to sympathize with them. And that is why we are saying that it is ideal to emphasize abilities. For instance, instead of saying Veronica is confined to a wheelchair, you could preferably say that Veronica is a wheelchair user, or Veronica uses a wheelchair. Right. So we are saying that you must use expressions of ability rather than disability. I hope you are getting me. And then avoid comparing disability to a disease. Most Ghanaians like to do this a lot. And there's a way we say it in the local language, yarifo. People have said this to me several times. The last time on the relationship forum, I was trying to share some of these experiences. When I migrated to Germany newly, people were referring to me as Yarifo. Yarifo means a sick person, Disability is not a sickness. Or do you think it's a sickness? It's not a sickness. And so it's not appropriate to refer to them as sick people or as patients. Unless, of course, the person is under medical care, like any other person. Otherwise, they are not sick people. What do you think? And it sounds awful, especially when we say it in the local language. Yarifo, oh yeah, Yarifo. Yeah, a lot of, or most Ghanaians like to do this. I shared some of these experiences last week. A sick person is at the hospital. They are lying in bed. Don't you think so? And so it will not be appropriate to refer to them as sick people. It's not an illness. Disability is not an illness. If you think otherwise, please bring it on and let's talk about it. And One thing is that normally when persons with disabilities achieve phenomenal milestone, we try to portray them as superhuman. And that presupposes that these people lack or they have limited skills, talents, and unusual gifts. I believe that it is normal. It is normal. Just see those things as normal because they are just human beings like you with talent and skills. So when they make milestones, you don't portray them as superhumans. I see a lot of people when they are blogging or they are writing news on PWD. Sometimes they emphasize more on their disability as if it's unusual for a person with disability to make achievements, you know. Yeah, it's also something that you must be conscious of when you are actually interacting with them. And then also avoid labeling or putting them into categories. For example, do not say handicapped. You know, this is one of the reasons why I find it very important to have the conversation here. Some of us are confused. We don't actually know how to refer to them. Even among us, some of us, we are also confused. We are also confused. You see another person. The other time I was having a conversation with another lady. She's also a disability activist. And she told me she doesn't care whether you refer to her as a disabled person, a person with disability, a handicap, or what. And that she thinks is only a terminology. For me, also, I think I do not care. Before, it used to bother me, but now I do not care because it does not limit me in any way. So whether you call me a handicap or a disabled person or whatever, any of those things, I do not really care because I believe that it does not, it's only a terminology like the lady said, and it does not limit me in any way. You know, before it used to get to me, but not anymore. You know, and some other people will not take it lightly when you use some of those words to them. And so we must make that conscious effort of some of the words that we use to describe persons with disabilities anytime we are interacting with them. So instead of putting them under categories or referring to them as handicaps, deaf, and so on, you could use terminologies such as a person with disability or the visually impaired. But hold on, I'll come to that. I'll come to that to explain the preferable ways to refer to the various disabilities. Yeah. Now, having that done, I want us to look at appropriate terminologies to refer to specific disabilities. If you join me, don't forget to share the video and also kindly interact with me. If you have any question, any contribution, any opinion about some of the things that I am saying here, let's interact. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be talking about preferred words that reflect a positive attitude in portraying disabilities. Yeah. So what is a disability? It's a general term. Disability is a general term for a functional limitation that interferes with a person's ability, for example, to walk, lift, hear, or learn. It may refer to a physical, sensory, or mental condition. And in recent times in Ghana, certain persons with physical disabilities are preferably referred to as the physically challenged. And you know, this has also been there were a lot of controversies about this. I think I personally have had a discussion with one of us about this. I believe that if we, well, maybe I'll reserve that for another time. But I'm saying that in recent times, certain persons with or persons with certain physical disabilities are preferably referred to as the physically challenged. And you see, even when I'm interacting with them and I use persons with disabilities, they tend to correct me. They ask me to refer to them as the physically challenged. So I think that it is very important that we are aware of some of these things. Some people may not take it lightly with you, you know. Yeah. And then handicap. Handicap is not a synonym for disability, for the word disability. Some of you refer to PWDs as handicaps. I've heard it several times. Ironically, it is used to describe a barrier imposed by society, for example, environment, or by oneself. You see, so it doesn't refer to disability. It is used to describe certain barriers that are imposed by society. So, in other words, some people would like to say inaccessibility. Never describe persons with disabilities as handicapped. Instead, you can say the staircase, for example. A staircase may be a handicap for me or for her. That's it. Let's look at some of the disabilities. Blind. So blind describes a condition in which a person has loss of vision for ordinary life purpose. And generally, anyone with less than 10% of a normal vision will be regarded as legally blind. You can preferably refer to such people as visually impaired. I have already said it. Don't say the blind. You can say visually impaired. Yeah. Deafness or deaf people refer to a profound degree of hearing loss that prevents understanding speech through the ear. And so you could also refer to these people as the hearing impaired. Don't say deaf. Yeah, some people say that also. I hear it all the time. You know, so you could say the hearing impaired instead of saying the deaf. And then mental, my video will be very brief. Yeah, I'll be wrapping up very soon. Mental illness. There are other disabilities that I am not talking about today. I will probably we'll come and talk about it another time. Mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples include depression, anxiety disorders, and many others. In fact, I am not sure what is the preferable way. I have not found any research material on that. I am speaking to some few people who are experts in this area. So I don't know whether it's okay to say the mentally challenged or, well, yes, I couldn't find any material. I couldn't find any much information on this particular one. So I don't know. However, I found somewhere that mental disorder will do when you are referring to people with this condition. I promise I will do more research about that. I'm speaking to some people, as I've told you, and then I'll come back with this particular one and tell you the appropriate way to also refer to people with mental illness. My name is Veronica. I believe you have enjoyed the conversation. If you chance on this video, please try and share it. And if you have any other opinion, you differ, please, you can put it in the comment section. If you have any other contribution, you can also write it there. If you agree with me and you want to contribute, it is also allowed. My name is Veronica, and I'm taking the opportunity to say a very big thank you to Amma Manson for allowing us to do this here, to raise awareness on issues of disability on this platform. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.